Hi, this is Roger, thanks for dropping by. This isn't really a gardening video and it certainly isn't an orchid video, so we're going to say it's something completely different. These are some plants that some people will remember I've actually got. Some people may have caught glimpses of them in the garden, which is where they live. They can be greenhouse plants as well. But because they're cool to cold growers, believe it or not, it would be too warm in here at 12 or 13 degrees. They do well in an unheated greenhouse. And what we're going to do today is just have a tidy up and a general look over them, and possibly a trim. So you're all wondering what on earth I'm talking about, so let's swing the camera around so you can see. Oh, and now it's going to rain. I was hoping we'd have a gap. It keeps raining quite hard. We'll see how the noise level goes, but hopefully it won't be. It'll be short-lived. Today we're going to have a look at my Sarracenias. Now these live out in the garden in a water tray. They're bog plants. The only criteria, really. Shout above the noise of the rain. These showers are short and sharp normally, so it won't last long. The only criteria is that the water doesn't get stale and stagnant. Yeah. So by being in a tray that's almost full of pots, they get rained on, and the rain effectively overflows the tray quite frequently, which is refreshing it, if you see what I mean. Now they don't mind getting frozen. There's still a lot of green growth on these, and these have been frozen solid. The whole tray, including the pots, has been frozen solid. They're pretty tough cookies, but these came from Hampshire Carnivorous Plants. Now I'm lucky with the Sarracenias because there's a hybridizer and grower, long-term Carnivorous Plants nursery. What's the guy's name? Mark Soper, I think the guy's name is, who runs it. He's had so many golds at Chelsea, I expect they've lost count. He's probably got a separate room in his house for all the cups. He wins prizes wherever he goes. His plants are absolutely stunning. And I'll try and remember to put a link in the description. I visited the nursery not that long, well, back in last summer, which is where these plants came from. They were on offer, like, you know, sort of buy two get one free or something or other. But, you know, I had a nice day out there, had a look around the plants, did a video, and I'll put the link in the description if I can find it, because I can't remember where I put it. Did it go on the gardening channel? Did it go on the new combined gardening and bonsai channel? Did it go on the orchid channel? I'll find it and I'll see if I can put a link to it. So you get to see what a nursery looks like, if you see what I mean. Anyway, I came back with some, determined to at least understand enough about them to be able to grow them and not kill them. So what I've done with these is I've lifted them out of their water tray and put them in a dry tray so that I can bring them in without making too much mess. Some are miniatures, some have got names, and the idea today is to trim off dead. There are two reasons. Dead pitchers serve no purpose to the plant, but if there's any green left at all on a pitcher, then I will leave the rest of that pitcher and just cut the top off. Now a lot of the time when you do that, these trap flies. Carnivorous plants is all in the name, you know, and even though the top of the pitcher might have gone brown, the area that contains the flies, which is their food, is still okay. Yeah? So by leaving the rest of the pitcher on, you've left the food for them. Now although they might not be using much of that food this time of year, because they're effectively dormant, they're not growing new growths or anything, it allows them to carry on feeding, or at least have some start-up food for in the spring, when the new growth starts. Now, because I've only had these since last summer, we haven't had a spring with them yet. So I don't quite know. I mean, I would say these plants are easily flowering size from what I've seen at the nursery. So we should hopefully get some blooms on them. The blooms are weird. I think it's about the best expression I can think of. They are weird. But I'm trying to take off, you know, completely dead pictures and pictures that are half brown. Now, according to Mark, if you grow under glass, it's really important to cut back these brown bits because they encourage the fluffy mould, botrytis or whatever it's called. But he grows quite a lot of, he's got quite a lot of bog gardens out, you know, they're outside, literally. They're sort of big like railway sleepers, making a raised bed effectively, which has got a liner in it, filled up with peat. And he grows a lot of them out there and they do very well. They look absolutely stunning in the summer, a lot with flowers on, and they stay there. You know, he's got pictures of them absolutely covered in snow, and they're okay, and they can survive. He said the lowest he's had so far is -7. These have had -8 here. They're still alive. Anyway, this is just a tidy up, and I mean that's a live picture. That's still got a live hood and it's green, so I'm leaving that one. There's another live one here, but the ones that have got the brown tops, I'm taking the tops off, and there's 2 reasons. It'll tidy them up, make them look nicer, and in addition to that, it reduces their height and the chance of the wind knocking them flying, which today's a good example. Wind keeps coming with these showers and it's really gusty when it does arrive. Right, so I won't be doing much more to this one, I don't think. As I said, I'm just looking for brown tops, but pictures that are still viable, that have still got plenty of green on, you know, green, photosynthesis, all that sort of stuff. So, but it's a tidy up. And during the summer months, once we get going and all the new growth starts coming up, it may well be worth bringing them in and giving them another tidy up. I don't know how much more dieback there will be, because I haven't had a complete annual cycle with them yet. Their water tray had a hell of a lot of the oak leaves off that annoying tree next door, and as a consequence was probably starting to turn the water a bit stale, and you don't have to worry too much about it going acidic really if these are bog plants and they grow in peat. You know, this is another one of these plants that yeah, lots of people try substitutes because, you know, we're not supposed to use peat anymore. I still say that's a silly idea, because if the peat's in a bag in your supermarket, it's already been dug out the ground, hasn't it? You just as well make use of it. The thing you need to stop is digging it up in the first place. But you know, obviously by sort of cutting back its usage, we'll stop people digging it up, and then it won't be for sale. Mark, I think he was asked at the NEC back last year. You know, I went with the Orchid Society, and well, I went with Hannah actually to pick our plants up and bring them home. But DEFRA were there, the people who decide what we're allowed to do as far as the horticultural world is concerned, and keep their eye on people, make sure they're obeying the rules and that. And they asked Mark, they said, what do you grow these in then? And he said, peat. And he said, well, you won't be able to get that soon. And he said, well, I just as well chuck all these in the dustbin then, because they won't grow. That's how they grow. They've evolved to grow in that media. They grow in peat bogs. And they don't like other things. Right, so that's a tidy up. Some of these pictures have got flies in. Well, you're not going to be able to see down in there, but that one's got all black inside. Whoops. It just all went all over the heater, that one. So that's what I'm doing, basically, is I'm just going to tidy them like that. Now, the other thing I want to say is that sort of mid-March or end of March, depending on whether it's a cold snap or whether it's starting to become spring-like, I will be potting quite a few of these on. I don't think I will repot any of them because they hadn't long been done when I got them. And I did ask Mark about repotting, and he said we don't need to worry about these for a while. They haven't long been put in their pots, so the peat's quite fresh. But he did say some of them will grow quite quickly and expand, and they start deteriorating when they filled the pot, because they're trying to expand and they're trying to put down their new roots and they haven't got any room. So it pays to pot them on. So my idea is to pot them on, and those that haven't filled their pot or anything like that, I'm still going to pot them on because I want these in square pots so that they, like the Deesers, they fit in the tray nicely, they butt up against each other, and that will help stop them blowing over in the wind. Anyway, that's a nice little miniature. That one is I was hoping I'd be able to say it. It's Micheliana or Micheliana crossed with Leucopophila, and it's clone 1, and it'd be much easier if I just hold that up, and if you're interested you can read it, and if you're not you don't have to. I think that's in focus. You can zoom in on it or something. Anyway, that's what that one's called. That means nothing to me, by the way. But it sounds like it's a primary cross. So that's that. Let's have a look at a bigger one. This is the one I've actually had the longest. I know I'm getting this wet, but don't worry, it dries out quickly. This one, when I was a member of the Bournemouth Orchid Society, Mark came to the Bournemouth Orchid Society to do a talk about carnivorous plants. You know, something a little bit different for the members, not orchids. And it was well appreciated, the talk. And he brought along some hybrids to sell. Now, I'd never even heard of these. I'd seen them at Kew Gardens, but I'd never heard of them. And he had some for sale, and they were £8, and I thought, well, that's not a bad price for something a bit exotic. And I must admit, these plants look like they come out of the tropics. No, they don't. So say there's some of these I'm cutting right off because this one's tall, and there's plenty of stick the scissors in your hand, why don't you? There's plenty of, see, this one's broken, that'll be the wind. And that one hadn't even opened a top. So it's just a tidy up really, that's all. Get dead bits off. Now this. So anyway, at the Orchid Society I bought one of these, and I paid the £8 for it, and I've had it ever since. It's lived in the greenhouse, it's lived outside, so it's tried different environments, but now it's in with some others, with some friends, in a water tray. Now this one has some quite good crowns. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or 6 good sized crowns on this one. So it's, you know, it's an elderly plant. I don't know when that was last repotted, so that one will get repotted and put in a larger pot, because it's all the latest crowns are right on the edge of the pot. Mark said, you know, that's the time they start to deteriorate. But I mean, that has lovely tall pitchers. They've got a nice pattern on them. So that's that one. Let's have a look at one that looks almost dead. They're not, as I say, these they go dormant to one degree or another. But this one, most of the pitchers are brown and can come right off. So this one gets a really good, proper tidy up. And there won't be much left of it when it's done. You've got to go careful. The trouble is, if you try and tidy up too late, you're highly likely with your scissors to clip the new growths. And And obviously if you take the top off the new growth, then it won't grow. It's not like it's going to branch out or anything like that. They're single units that grow up through the plant. Still got a bit of green on. But nonetheless, although this one's suffered a bit, it has still got some live forgotten what they're called now, Bill. You know what I mean? It's still got some fully functioning doodads. Now this has got a different type of name. Yeah? So CV I think is cultivar, and that's Jutha tip Soper. And the fact that it's got the word Soper on it, and Mark Soper is the owner of the nursery, I would suggest that's been named after a family member. But that will be one of his own hybrids, one that he's produced himself. So anyway, you get the gist. I've got a few more to do. I won't bore you with doing all of them. This is just a tidy up, that's all. And what I've done with their water tray is it was absolutely full. Got all the leaves and everything out, and I've emptied half the water out. Because with the amount of rain we're getting at the moment, it'll soon fill up again. You can grow these not standing in water, but they must never get dry. If they're dry, they're dead, basically. So you've got to keep them wet. They're bog plants, like the Deces. And yeah, I'm quite looking forward to hopefully getting some flowers on these this year. And yeah, that was all. It was just to have a look at something different. As I say, I mean, this is a nice looking plant, this one. You know, it's still got some nice pictures, that's the word I was looking for just now. More coffee. Duh. So, you know, that's a very full plant. That pot's full. So getting that in a slightly larger pot that's square will give it room to expand. And again with this one, get it in a slightly larger pot. What I am going to need is some different sized black square pots. I've still got quite a few left over from when we did the Deces. They all tend to be quite large. The smaller black pots that I've got around, and I want to get all these into square pots. They're easy to manage when they're standing in a water tray if they're in square pots. So that's what I shall be up to. And so say the next time we get these in, it will be to actually pot them on. I doubt if I'll split any. Yeah, I doubt if I'll split any. I mean, you know, if when they come out of their pot, the root ball seems an absolute solid mass, and it is quite a full pot, it might be worth splitting them into two and get two. But the thing is, I don't want hundreds of them. You know, it's like with the Deces, you know, we sort of split those up, and I've now got far too many, quite honestly. I don't need all those. But yeah, I like having these around. Now, where they are in the garden at the moment, in the midsummer, they do get sun. But in the spring, when they could probably do with some sun to sort of you know, brighten them up and give them encouragement to come into growth and everything. Where they are now, they don't get any sun until we get well into the year. So I may move them. I might move them like up onto the decking or something like that, so that they're in a much brighter position. These are not shade lovers or anything like that. They grow in the open, totally in the open. Mark Soper's bog gardens, his raised bog gardens, are in the middle of the field. The field that you drive past to get to where all the glass houses are, they're sat out in there. They're completely exposed, you know, to wind, rain, snow, everything, and full sun. There is little bits of shade in his bog gardens provided by the bigger versions of these plants. So they've got there's little sundews growing in the moss and things like that that wouldn't, you know, that need a bit of shade, and some of these that prefer a little less light. But it's got little microclimates within the bog garden. It's a nice place to visit. It's not open to the public. It's one of those that has open days or open weekends where you can visit. And I will probably go again on one of those this year because it's a thoroughly enjoyable day out. Get some coffee and biscuits supplied, and it's just a nice place to go. So, and it's just gorgeous colours. The one thing I haven't got is a deep red one. So next time I go, I'll be looking out for one that is the whole picture is a deep red with patterning still. So that's what I'm up to for today, and we will revisit these sort of mid-March or towards the end of March. Depends how the season's going. You can get very, very cold March and April, whereas you can get quite mild March and April, and I don't want to mess with them, changing pots and all that sort of stuff until they're coming back to growth, so that obviously some new roots are going to be produced and everything. So there we go, Sarracenias, and I like them. They're not going to take over, I will say that, for my orchid people. There have been quite a few orchid channels that in the past have started to grow a few carnivorous plants, and give it a couple of years and there's more carnivorous plants and far less orchids. I won't be going down that path. These are they, with the possible addition of a nice deep red one if next time I go, if I go. And anyway, something a bit different. See you next time. Bye for now.